When I see the crumbling roads and bridges, or the dilapidated airports, or the factories moving overseas to Mexico, or to other countries for that matter, I know these problems can all be fixed, but not by Hillary Clinton, only by me. But we can't solve any of these problems by relying on the politicians who created the problems themselves. We'll never be able to fix a rigged system by counting on the same people who have rigged it in the first place. Hillary Clinton, and as you know, most people know, she's a world-class liar. Just look at her pathetic email server statements or her phony landing in Bosnia where she said she was under attack and the attack turned out to be young girls handing her flowers. A total and look, this was one of the buttes. A total and self-serving lie. Hillary Clinton has perfected the politics of personal profit and even theft. She ran the State Department like her own personal hedge fund, doing favors for oppressive regimes, and many others, and really many, many others, in exchange for cash.
Donald Trump delivered yet another fiery statement, this time targeting Hillary Clinton, and it was absolutely brutal. In a live televised appearance, Trump didn't hold back, unleashing a series of stinging criticisms that quickly made headlines across major news outlets. The spectacle was nothing short of riveting, as millions of viewers tuned in, captivated by the sheer intensity of his remarks. His rejection of Clinton's views was as sharp and unyielding as ever, reigniting their infamous feud that has captivated the political scene for years. The tension was palpable as commentators scrambled to analyze Trump's pointed remarks, which left even seasoned analysts buzzing with reactions. Could this be a glimpse of what's to come in future debates or public confrontations? Stick around, because this political showdown just got a whole lot more intense, and you won't want to miss any jaw-dropping detail. Hey, quick favor before we continue. If you're enjoying this political content, please take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Most of you watch without subscribing, and it's completely free, but it helps us out a ton. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our updates. Have you done it yet? Really appreciate the support.
I get audited almost every year. And in a way, I should be complaining. I'm not even complaining. I don't mind it. It's almost become a way of life. I get audited by the IRS, but other people don't. I will say this. We have a situation in this country that has to be taken care of. I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted. As soon as she releases them, I will release my tax returns, and that's against my lawyers. They say, don't do it. I will tell you this. No, in fact, watching shows, reading the papers, almost every lawyer says, you don't release your returns until the audit's complete. When the audit's complete, I'll do it. But I would go against them if she releases her email.
So it's negotiable?
It's not negotiable. No, let her release the email. Why did she delete 33,000?
Well, Trump and Clinton's rivalry is one for the history books. From the 2016 presidential campaign to their recent public comments, have reignited a rivalry that shows no signs of fading, as neither has shied away from taking jabs at the other. Their heated exchanges have shaped political discourse for years, drawing attention from political analysts and the general public alike. From televised debates to social media sparring, their clashes have become symbolic of America's deep political divide. During a recent live appearance, Trump didn't mince words as he slammed Clinton, calling her past political moves a disaster for the country. He asserted that her influence on U.S. foreign policy had led to several avoidable crises that the nation continues to grapple with. His remarks, which mirrored long-standing criticisms from conservative circles, struck a chord with his loyal supporters. The crowd erupted with applause and cheers as Trump doubled down, declaring that Clinton's political career epitomized everything wrong with Washington elites. The pointed criticism resonated strongly with his base, who have long rallied behind Trump's anti-establishment rhetoric.
You haven't done it in 30 years or 26 years.
Well, I've been a senator,
You haven't done it.
And
You haven't
I
done
have
it.
been a
And
Secretary of State, and I have
Your
done
husband signed
a lot.
NAFTA, which was one of the worst things that ever happened to the
that's your
manufacturing
opinion.
industry.
That is your opinion.
You go to New England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Clinton, and you will see devastation where manufacturing is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country. And now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. You were totally in favor of it. Then you heard what I was saying, how bad it is, and you said, I can't win that debate. But you know that if you did win, you would approve that, and that will be almost as bad as NAFTA. Nothing will ever top NAFTA.
That is just not accurate. I was against it once it was finally negotiated and the terms were laid out. I wrote about that in...
You called it the gold standard.
Well, I hope...
You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against it.
Well, Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the facts. The facts are, I did say I hoped it would be a good deal, but when it was negotiated, which I was not responsible for, I concluded it wasn't. I wrote about that.
So is it President Obama's fault? Is it President Obama's fault?
Even announced. Look, there
Secretary, is it President Obama's fault?
There are
because he's pushing it.
There are different views.
But Trump didn't stop there. He took aim at one of the most controversial chapters of Clinton's political career, the infamous email scandal that has haunted her reputation for years. She should have faced consequences for those emails, Trump declared, his voice sharp with conviction, reigniting a controversy that once dominated national headlines. The issue, which many had thought had faded from public memory, was suddenly thrust back into the spotlight. Trump's remarks painted Clinton's handling of classified information as not just a mistake, but as a reckless and dangerous lapse that jeopardized national security. The gravity of his accusations resonated deeply with the crowd, who erupted in loud applause, signaling their agreement with his perspective. For many in attendance, the email controversy remains a glaring example of what they see as a lack of accountability among political elites. Trump's stance was clear and unwavering. He believed that the American people deserved leadership rooted in integrity, transparency, and accountability.
Then when she left, she made $21.6 million giving speeches to Wall Street banks and other special interests, and in less than 2 years, secret speeches that she does not want to reveal under any circumstances to the public. I wonder why. Together, she and Bill made $153 million giving speeches to lobbyists, CEOs, and foreign governments in the years since 2001. They totally own her, and that will never, ever change, including if she ever became president. God help us. Hillary Clinton wants to be president, but she doesn't have the temperament or, as Bernie Sanders said very strongly, the judgment to be president. She does not have the judgment. Her campaign slogan is, "I'm with her." You know what my response is to that? I'm with you, the American people.
Trump didn't stop at Clinton's past controversies, but went further, launching a scathing critique of her long-standing political ideology. He accused her of clinging to a failed legacy that no longer serves the interests of the American people. With characteristic bluntness, Trump described her policies as disastrous experiments that weakened the nation, asserting that they had led to economic stagnation and weakened America's position on the global stage. He further argued that Clinton's political ambitions have consistently prioritized global interests over the well-being of American families, portraying her as a symbol of Washington's growing detachment from the struggles of everyday citizens. According to Trump, this detachment has left countless Americans feeling ignored and disillusioned. The audience responded with thunderous applause, clearly resonating with Trump's sharp rebuke of the political status quo and his calls for leadership that prioritizes the American people above elite interests.
You are going to approve one of the biggest tax cuts in history. You are going to approve one of the biggest tax increases in history. You are going to drive business out. Your regulations are a disaster, and you're going to increase regulations all over the place. And by the way, my tax cut is the biggest since Ronald Reagan. I'm very proud of it. it will create tremendous numbers of new jobs. But regulations, you are going to regulate these businesses out of existence. When I go around, Lester, I tell you this, I've been all over. And when I go around, despite the tax cut, the things that business and people like the most is the fact that I'm cutting regulation. You have regulations on top of regulations, and new companies cannot form, and old companies are going out of business, and you want to increase the regulations and make them even worse. I'm going to cut regulations, but I'm going to cut taxes big league, and you're going to raise taxes big league. End of story.
In typical Trump fashion, he didn't just dwell on past grievances, but shifted the focus to Clinton's recent criticism of his policy ideas. With characteristic bluntness, he dismissed her viewpoints as outdated and irrelevant, sparking immediate reactions from political analysts. Trump went on to accuse Clinton of being out of touch with the real issues facing Americans today, claiming that her political mindset was stuck in a bygone era. He argued that while Clinton continues to cling to obsolete political strategies, his approach offers innovative and practical solutions to modern challenges. According to Trump, the nation stands at a crossroads, and it's time for a new wave of leadership that prioritizes the American people above political elites and global interests. His blunt rejection of Clinton's opinions sent shockwaves across the political landscape, igniting heated debates on major media platforms and social channels where supporters and critics weighed in passionately on the unfolding drama.
The Hillary Clinton foreign policy has cost America thousands of lives and trillions of dollars, and unleashed ISIS across the world. No Secretary of State has been more wrong, more often, and in more places than Hillary Clinton. Her decisions spread death, destruction, and terrorism everywhere she touched. Among the victims of our late ambassador, Chris Stevens, what she did with him was absolutely horrible. He was left helpless to die as Hillary Clinton soundly slept in her bed. That's right. When the phone rang, as per the commercial, at 3 o'clock in the morning, Hillary Clinton was sleeping. Ambassador Stevens and his staff in Libya made hundreds and hundreds of requests for security. They were desperate. They needed help. Hillary Clinton's State Department refused them all. She started the war that put them in Libya, denied him the security he asked for, then left him there to die.
The feud took an even more dramatic turn when Trump dropped a tantalizing hint about having inside knowledge regarding Clinton's past dealings. Though he refrained from providing specifics, his cryptic suggestion was enough to set political circles ablaze with speculation. Analysts and commentators immediately began theorizing about what potential bombshells might be on the horizon. Could there be hidden controversies waiting to surface? Or was Trump simply stirring the pot to keep the narrative alive? Political insiders are now questioning whether new revelations could emerge that might further tarnish Clinton's already embattled reputation. The ambiguity of Trump's remarks only added fuel to the fire, leaving political pundits and analysts eager for follow-ups and further details. As conversations spread across media platforms, one thing became clear. The saga between these two political heavyweights is far from over, and new twists could be just around the corner.
One thing I do is get rid of carried interest. One of the greatest provisions for people like me, to be honest with you. I give up a lot when I run because I knock out the tax code. And she could have done this years ago, by the way. She was a United States Senator. She complains that Donald Trump took advantage of the tax code. Well, why didn't she change it? Why didn't you change it when you were a senator? The reason you didn't is that all your friends take the same advantage that I do. And I do. You have provisions in the tax code that, frankly, we could change. But you wouldn't change it because all of these people give you the money so you can take negative ads on Donald Trump. And I say that about a lot of things. You know, I've heard Hillary complaining about so many different things over the years. Oh, we should have done this. But she's been there for 30 years. She's been doing this stuff. She never changed, and she never will change. She never will change.
Trump's remarks have once again ignited fierce debates across the country, reigniting the divide between his supporters and detractors. To some, his comments are seen as a necessary and long overdue call-out of past political failures, a bold critique that exposes uncomfortable truths about the nation's political landscape. His base hails him as a fearless leader, unafraid to challenge the status quo and speak bluntly where others remain silent. On the other hand, critics argue that his rhetoric is unnecessarily divisive, further widening the political chasm and undermining efforts to foster national unity. They contend that his confrontational style detracts from meaningful discussions on policy and governance. Yet, love him or hate him, one undeniable fact remains. Trump has an unmatched ability to command the spotlight. His uncanny knack for capturing public attention has become a defining feature of his political persona, making him one of the most polarizing and talked about figures in modern American history.
She's married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics. And Hillary was an enabler, and she treated these women horribly. Just remember this. And some of those women were destroyed not by him, but by the way that Hillary Clinton treated them after everything went down.
As the dust settles from this latest chapter in their enduring rivalry, one thing is clear. Donald Trump's unfiltered criticism of Hillary Clinton continues to ignite passionate debate. Whether viewed as a fearless champion of accountability or a provocateur stirring division, Trump's influence on the political stage remains undeniable. The enduring saga between these two political heavyweights reflects the broader battle for the nation's political soul. With Trump's fearless approach and unwavering stance, many see him as a powerful force challenging the status quo and redefining America's political landscape. His bold leadership and sharp critiques continue to captivate the nation, leaving supporters energized and eager for what lies ahead in his ongoing fight against political elites. Your perspective matters. Is this just the beginning of a more intense political showdown? Can anyone else challenge the political elites as boldly as Trump does? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on more political showdowns and fiery debates. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters in these discussions. See you next time.